So in this video, we're going to be covering intermediate broken up double bass drum patterns. Now to know if you're ready to move from beginner to intermediate, we're going to be playing these at 70 BPM to start and then going up higher. Now if you can play them at 70 BPM cleanly and consistently, then you're probably ready. If not, you're going to want to go back and practice the beats in the beginner broken up double bass drum patterns until you get those clean and consistent and you can play those at a variety of tempos. So in this first beat, we're going to continue with a regular rock feel with a snare on 2 and 4, and we're going to have 16th notes, but we're also going to introduce some 30-second notes. So why don't we see how they sound? So in this next beat, we're going to keep the same rock feel from the last one, and we're going to introduce 4 30-second notes leading up to the second snare drum. So in this beat, we're going to have a group of 4 30-second notes followed by a quarter note on the kick, which is going to create a group of 5, and it really drives the beat along. So in this beat, we're going to take it down to a halftime feel, and we're going to have 8th notes, 16th notes, and 30-second notes all in the beat to create kind of a very dynamic feel on the bass drum. So this beat, we're going to go back to having the snare on 2 and 4, and we're going to introduce some sort of offbeat 16th notes mixed up with runs of 30-second notes. So in this next beat, we're going to have the snare drum on all 4 counts, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we're going to have groups of 3 16th notes placed sort of sporadically throughout to kind of give it an interesting feel. So this next beat is going to be very similar in feel to the last beat, but instead of 16th notes, They're going to be 30-second notes. Now this next beat, we're going to switch back to a regular feel with the snare on 2 and 4, and we're going to introduce some eighth note triplets on the kicks at the same time as regular eighth notes on the hi-hat. So it's kind of a strange feeling. It feels like you're playing offbeat, but you're still on. So let's try it out. Now this next beat is very similar to the last in that it has eighth note triplets while there are eighth notes being played on the hi-hat. It's a little bit different, they're in a different place, and there's also going to be regular eighth notes played on the kick. So you can kind of see how it feels very different. So this next beat, it's got a basic rock feel, with snare on 2 and 4, and it has eighth note triplets throughout on the kick with regular eighth notes on the hi-hat. So it actually creates a sort of a polyrhythm. It's kind of difficult to get at first, but it sounds really cool. So those are some great intermediate broken double bass drum patterns. Now when you practice them, make sure you use a metronome and make sure that you're keeping your volume consistent when you're doing 30-second notes versus when you're doing 16th notes and 8th notes. Make sure it's all consistent, and if you're having a hard time, slow it down and practice it slower. If you feel that you're ready to move on and you've mastered these, we've got advanced broken double bass drum patterns next.